Okay, what is up, people of the world? Here we are to talk about the new moon in Taurus that is happening today, April 22nd at 9:26 p.m. Central Time. So I'm going to walk you through this chart here for the new moon in Taurus, and I've got listed down here some of the things that we have happening, some of the aspects that we have happening at the time of this new moon, and also the retrogrades that are about to happen. So we have a bunch of planets that are about to go retrograde. Some of them are already in their shadow period. So we've got Saturn preparing to go retrograde, Venus, Jupiter, and Pluto. And then we also have the nodes that are going to switch signs. We have the sun that's going to conjunct Uranus 3 days after this new moon. So we have a lot of things happening. So let's get into it. Let's talk about all of it. Okay, so I'm going to draw on the chart here, and we are going to look at this new moon in Taurus. So you can see the sun and the moon together in the sign of Taurus. And you know, this new moon is a little bit different because we also have Uranus there. So Uranus is 3 degrees away from this sun and moon conjunction, and we have the sun that's going to come together with Uranus. The moon's also going to come together like at exactly 6 degrees a few days after this new moon, and that is again the once-a-year conjunction that the sun makes with Uranus. So let's speak to this Taurus energy first. With the sun and the moon together in Taurus, new moons are a time of new beginnings, planting new seeds of intention, what you're wanting to grow. It's a new cycle. Yeah, a clean slate. And so the Taurus energy is very much about, understanding what your worth is, like being rooted in your worthiness, your innate worthiness for being here, for being alive, for being a human. Taurus rules, it's an earth sign, so generally it's pretty slow and steady and stable. It rules security. It rules, again, our belief in ourselves, in our abilities, in our spiritual gifts. Taurus is also associated with the throat chakra, so our ability to express and to share our gifts, to share our truth, to share, what we value and how it is that we value ourselves. So the thing with Taurus, the low road with Taurus, is every sign has a high road and a low road. And the low road with the Taurus energy is that they can feel unsafe. They can feel like they don't have everything they need, or maybe like they're not moving fast enough, like they're not doing it right. They can be fearful of their security because it rules our security. It rules our, sense of stability here on earth, and our belief in our ability to take care of ourselves, to take care of our own basic needs. And so again, the low road of Taurus may be feeling, so much has happened this year, right? Like we're in a time that we've never been in before. We're experiencing things that we probably couldn't have even imagined that we would have to deal with or to move through. And so it can feel a bit unstable. Like, even though Taurus is the sign of stability, we've got Uranus there next to it, which is the energy that wants to shake everything up. So it's kind of the opposite energy of what Taurus like naturally holds. And with everything that's changed in the world, it's like we're needing to adjust and needing to adapt. And that's not necessarily Taurus's strong suit. Taurus is a fixed sign. They're good at like holding steady, sticking with things, like seeing it all the way through, little by little, accomplishing things, moving at their own speed. So there's something around like, we've been doing things a certain way. We've been, showing up in a certain way. We've been offering our services, sharing our gifts in a certain way. The stories that we've been telling ourselves about our worth and how valuable we are, how valuable the services are that we offer to the world. We're really, I think, taking some time to review that, right? With the new moon, I would invite you to like look at what those old stories were like for you. Like, what have you been holding on to? What are the stories that are not serving you? Again, the low road of Taurus is that they can cling to things. They can hold on to things because they don't feel safe, because they don't feel like they can take care of themselves, or they don't feel that inner stability and that inner security because they haven't taken enough time to really, sit in meditation or to, do their spiritual practices to build that inner strength. And so then they can hold on to things. They can hoard like possessions, or they can stay stuck and stagnant, like clinging on to maybe people or to possessions, to a place of living, to a job, whatever it is, because they know it. They're familiar with it, even though maybe it's shitty, like even though they're staying there in the shit, it's like they're familiar with it. They know what to do in this space, even though it's not quite helping them to break free and to move forward. So I think at the time of this new moon, we're really looking at those old stories, the shit that we've been carrying, or the shit that we've been laying in, so to speak. And how do we need to break free from that? Like, what do we need to put down? What do we need to let go of, so that we have more freedom moving forward in this new expression of our lives that I feel that we've already kind of started stepping into. And now it's just like, it's a total, I pulled the Fool card. I want to share that because it was super powerful how this card came out. And I really feel this energy pretty strong for this new moon. It's like just trusting, like, this guy here, he's not worried at all. He has everything he needs in his little bag here. The dog is following him, like he's going to walk off this cliff and hopefully be supported. It's just total surrender and trust. And so I feel like that's where we're at right now. Like, none of us know what the fuck is going on. None of us knew that this shit was going to happen necessarily. I mean, we knew with Saturn and Pluto coming together, right? This aspect here, Pluto and Saturn, I'll speak more to that. With those two planets coming together, we, all throughout history, you can see when these two planets come together. It happens about every 35-ish years. And each time that happens, like, huge world events happen. Saturn, the planet of the structures that we work within, the government structures, the boundaries, the laws that we follow, the truths that we live by. Yeah, the boundaries that we work within. And then Pluto, the planet of death and transformation. And it's like the Tower card. It's like a tearing down of all the structures, all of the structures that were not built in integrity, that are not in alignment for us. It's going to be burnt down. So you can see that happening globally, collectively. And then you can probably also feel it happening individually within your own personal experience. So, so at the time of this Taurus new moon, yeah, there's something around like an acknowledgement for how things used to be, and an understanding that it's never going to go back there, that you cannot go back to what your old life looked like. Like, you're too far in a new direction. You're hearing the intuitive messages too loudly that you can't like deny it. You can't go back and try to fit into some kind of box that you once fit into. Uranus here is, okay, yeah, let's speak to this. Uranus, the planet of great change, the planet of awakenings. It's the great liberator. It's here to help us shake free from stuck, stagnant energy, from shit that's been holding us back. And so maybe, with it being in Taurus, it's a lot around our values. It's a lot around how we value ourselves, how we value our services, how we make money. Taurus rules like money coming in to us. So we're needing to break free of the fucking box that we've put ourselves in, or that we've allowed other people to put us in the past. And we've been living within that space. And now it's time to like totally bust open radical change and acceptance, and trusting what you're feeling called to do right now. And with Uranus there, it's conjunct this new moon, but not exactly. It's 3 degrees apart, right? So a little bit after this new moon, the moon is going to travel. It travels faster than the sun, so it's going to come in conjunct Uranus, maybe helping our emotional body to break free in some kind of way, to see things differently, to break outside of the box, to be open to new possibilities and new opportunities, not just, thinking, Taurus can be like, well, this is how I've done it. This is how it's always looked. This is what works for me. But we need to break free from that. We need to open up and to see things in a new way, and to know that there's an infinite amount of possibilities, and that the only thing that is holding you back is your own motherfucking self, right? Like the Taurus energy, you have to believe in yourself. You have to feel that inner self-worth, that inner stability, the inner security, and you have to trust the intuitive messages that you receive. You have to go in that direction, or else they're just going to get louder. So Again, the moon's going to slowly move after this new moon, and it's going to conjunct Uranus, and then the sun is going to do so as well in the next few days. That happens on the 25th. And so this is a once a year conjunction when the sun comes together with Uranus. This happens once a year. And the sun is our ego, it's our core characteristics, it's our personality, it's like the energy that we radiate out into the world, right? It's the sun. And so with that energy coming together with Uranus, it's just like a total breaking free from who we have known ourselves to be. And we're needing to get comfortable, to get used to this new expression of ourselves, this new expression of our gifts and how we share them with the world. Like, it doesn't just have to look the same way it's always looked. Like, the world is rapidly changing. We're changing so much every day. Like, new information's coming in, and we're having to adapt and to adjust to this and to see things in a new way, to break free from our own confinements of what we thought our life, had to look like or could only look like, and be open to like infinite possibilities. That's the Uranus energy. It's very much about embracing, your uniqueness, your eccentricity, like radical acceptance of the self. It's associated with the Aquarius energy, which is all about like fucking the rules, like breaking free. Yeah, breaking out of the box. The societal norms, that's not what they're about. They want to kind of push that to the side and go off in a new direction, in their own direction. So yeah, needing to let go of the thoughts, the beliefs, the old ways that you've done things, being open to new possibilities. I mean, that's going to happen whether you choose to embrace it or not. If you don't want to lean into that change, Uranus can shake things up. Like, it's associated with actual like earthquakes or tornadoes, or like shaking shit up so that we can move forward, so that we can clear out the stuck energy. So again, listening to your intuition, listening to those intuitive messages, so that so it doesn't have to get so loud, so that you can make the change before it's like forced upon you. So it's getting quiet, and it's listening to your internal voice and really being led from that space. Again, the Fool card, he's trusting, like, whatever the fuck is happening down here, that's another story. He's totally trusting in the universe, in source. Like, just it's a very light-hearted energy. Look at him. No worries. Yeah, you've been provided for up until now. Like, you're alive, you've survived throughout all the shit in your life. You've got this. You can continue moving forward in this new direction that you're unsure of exactly what it's going to look like, but you have to take the first step, right? Like, you have to put yourself out there somewhere. You have to start somewhere. So that's what we're doing right now. Okay, so some other things going on in the chart. We have, I mentioned the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. That was exact in January, but we're working with this energy throughout this whole year. It's not like the foundation of everything can just be fucking torn up and then put back together in the next day. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. Throughout this whole year, we're slowly rebuilding what it is that we want the foundation to look like within our own personal lives. And then collectively, we're contributing, to this vision. We can hold this vision in our mind's eye of what we want society to look like moving forward. And with Saturn, that's moved into Aquarius, and for all you people with your natal Saturn in Aquarius that are going through your Saturn return, like 27, 28, 29, you guys are here to lay a new foundation. Aquarius is the ultimate humanitarian. They want to, it's a very futuristic energy. So sure, they can go to the future. They can bring back those ideas to like revolutionize the current times that we're in. But it's also like a connection to our roots, and a connection to how it is that we're meant to live as humans, like putting in new rules that actually support the humans living here, not just like the 1% of people that have all the money and that have all the power in the world. Like, let's fucking distribute that more evenly so that we can get back to like how we're actually supposed to live here as humans. Like, are people happier now than they've ever been because they have so much shit, because the government has so much power or whatever? I think that it needs to be a returning to our roots, or returning to what actually matters. And we can see that taking place in the world, like shit's being shaken up, so that we can remember what it is that we're actually here to do. And so Saturn and Aquarius, you guys are building this new foundation. Sure, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like you're building it from scratch, but with that like utopian, like humanitarian vision in mind, being able to see into the future and to see a better world for ourselves. And like, yeah, what are the steps that you're going to do to put that in place, to build that solid foundation? Saturn's going to go retrograde, so it's going to kind of dance with Pluto throughout this whole year, as is Jupiter. And right now, Jupiter, you know, it was conjunct Pluto a little while ago, and now it's like slowly moving away from that conjunction. It's softening, it's lightening. But Jupiter is an expansive energy. It just expands anything that it touches. It isn't necessarily the planet of just luck and abundance and money and success. It's an expansive energy. So it's going to expand anything. It's going to expand like happy, positive energy and like darker, negative energy as well. And so Pluto, being the planet of death and transformation and darkness, it's, you know, we can see this happening globally and maybe within yourself, like exposing the shit that we need to look at, exposing what's been beneath the surface, bringing it up here so that we can look at it and we can transform it and we can work with it. So yeah, Jupiter expanding on what needs to change, how we need to like personally transform, and the transformations that need to happen globally, collectively. Another thing that is happening is, you know, we do have, I've got the retrogrades down here. We've got a bunch of planets that are going to go retrograde. I want to speak to Venus that is in its shadow period right now. And Venus is going to go retrograde on May 13th. But again, with it being in the shadow period now, it's like we're already looking at these themes of what's going to come up during Venus retrograde. Venus being the planet of love, of beauty, of harmony, of, you know, how we show up in relationships, what our love nature is. With it going retrograde, any planet going retrograde, it's like it's time to slow down, to kind of pull your energy back in, to review, to revise, to go over these things that we've kind of skipped over, or it's like, you know, we can just be moving so fast throughout life that we don't take the time to actually sit and to process this information. And so with Venus going retrograde in the sign of Gemini, you know, there's a lot of reviewing around relationships, obviously, and how we've shown up in a relationship, what we want relationship to look like. You know, Gemini is a sign of communication. And so Gemini is all about like gathering information. They don't really give a fuck like what each person believes in necessarily, or like that each person has to believe in the same thing. Gemini just wants like all the information. They want to understand everybody's different point of view, everyone's different perspective. And so there's a lot around where we're also going to have the nodes that, you know, the north node that's going to move into Gemini, the south node's going to move into Sagittarius. That's going to shift really soon and start a new 2.5-year cycle with the nodes moving in a new sign. So with the north node moving into Gemini, a lot of this Gemini energy, there's a lot around how we communicate, how we gather information, like what is real, what is not, what information is useful to us, and what information is just like, it's too much, it's information overload. And you can probably feel this happening globally, collectively, with like so much fucking information floating around in the world. Like, what is it that actually helps you? What is helpful for you to like dive into, or to give your energy and time to this information? What is useful? So being able to kind of sift through that and focus on what it is that is supporting you, and not just what's like making you spin out because you have so much information. But again, with Venus preparing to go retrograde in the sign of Gemini, you know, and retrogrades kind of being notorious for people from the past coming back in. So maybe exes, or past relationships, past situations, people entering to like tie up the loose ends. And again, I just want to tie in the Taurus energy here of like really understanding what your worth is and where you want to spend your time and your energy, you know, who you want to give your energy to, and where do you need to draw the line, right? Taurus is very much like knowing your self-worth, knowing your value, and having those strong boundaries. Like, where do you need to conserve your energy and protect yourself so that you're not just like, you know, feeding into everything and extending your energy in every which way. So needing to pull the energy back in and really be clear on how you want to share information, how you want to communicate with people, like what you find value in. So yeah, with Venus preparing to go retrograde in Gemini, there could also be a lot around just looking at the ways that you've shown up in relationship, looking at how you've communicated or expressed yourself, or maybe you haven't expressed yourself as much as you would have liked in a relationship. And so now moving forward, it's like, okay, what do you value? How do you want to show up? Who do you want to be? What kind of like conversations do you want to have with the person? How do you want, you know, the banter to go? Gemini very much loves like just being able to go back and forth and have those, like have a banter, have a mentally stimulating conversation with someone. So yeah, so we're reviewing themes around relationships, around what our values are, around where we spend our time, our money, our energy. Yeah. What else do I want to share? So I'll share this this positive aspect that we happening. We have Mars here in Aquarius, and it is making a positive aspect. It's supporting Venus, the planet of love, how we show up in a relationship, and it's also supporting, what is it supporting? Mercury. Mercury, that's what I wanted to share. Mercury here, the planet of communication, is making a positive aspect to Venus, and it's making a positive aspect to Mars. So, okay, what does that mean in English? So Mercury is the planet of communication and how our mind works, and it's in the sign of Aries. So being a bit more clear and a bit more direct on what it is that we need to do, you know, how we need to take care of ourselves, what our priorities are, what we're passionate about, what our desires are. And then it's really being supported by Venus, by what it is that we love, you know, where we spend our time, our money, our energy. And then Mars is like the vehicle that we move through life with. So Mars, with it being in Aquarius, is very much, again, like thinking to the future. What are new ideas? What are ways that I can revolutionize what it is that I've been doing? How can I adjust and adapt to these times? And so I think this is really positive, supportive energy here. It's like a little mini grand trine going on with between Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And so I think this really supports us with this direction that we're going in. I mean, again, the Fool card, we love it. It's like just listening to your intuition. You know, Mercury and Aries, fire energy is very intuitive, where you know, and it's different than water, where fire is more like instinctual and like reactive, and like, okay, it gets the message and it just does it. It doesn't necessarily think too much about it. Like Aries doesn't sit there and weigh the facts for forever. Aries is just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna move forward. And so yeah, receiving these messages, like, what is it that you're passionate about? What is it that's firing you up right now? Like, where are you finding life, you know, despite all the reasons why you could like shrink and like close off and like be constricted because of what's happening in the world and the heaviness that can be floating around. But like, what is it that's fueling your fire at this time? What do you intuitively, instinctually feel called to do? And then it's, yeah, it's just jumping into it, like kind of just taking that first step and trusting. And so, yeah, I think, again, that we're rewriting a lot of the stories around our self-worth and our value. And like, you know, in the past, maybe feeling like, no, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough, or how's it going to look, or how am I going to make this work? Am I going to have enough money? Blah, blah, blah. And now we're really, you know, we're breaking free, right? Uranus is here to shake up every single planet that moves into Taurus. You know, Mercury's going to move into Taurus. Mars will eventually get there. But first, the sun and the moon are going to cross over Uranus, and the sun and the moon being huge parts of ourselves. The sun, like, our external, the moon, our internal, like kind of our little worlds here being shaken up, and we're being broken free from the old beliefs, the old stories that we've held on to. Yeah, we don't need to carry that anymore. We can trust this direction that we're moving in. Yeah, even though we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, we can like feel our way there. We can take the first step to what you intuitively feel called to do at this time, the new life that you're stepping into. Yeah, you just need to rewrite the stories around why you didn't feel like you could do that in the past. So maybe at the time of this new moon, maybe you can write out, you know, those things that you used to hold on to, or you know, different stories you would tell yourself, and then maybe you could burn it, and then you could write a list of the things that you're wanting to do moving forward, like, and knowing your worth. So like, I am worthy of this. I'm worthy of, you know, living a life that I love. I'm worthy of sharing my gifts. I'm worthy of, you know, supporting myself and making money and taking care of my own basic needs, and more. You know, Taurus rules, they can be known for like luxury and indulgence, because they just, it's like the simple pleasures in life. Yeah, taking the time to slow down and enjoy the simple pleasures, and appreciating what it is that you already have, appreciating all the things, you know, within your realm, within your sphere, the things in your home. You know, Taurus rules our possessions. Taurus wants to feel safe and supported, and just be surrounded by beautiful things. So it's like having the pride, having, you know, being proud of what it is that you've accomplished, what you've moved through in the past, and breaking free from any of those stories that are still holding you back, or that you're still carrying, that you've outgrown, so that you can, you know, step into something that's more in alignment for you. Yeah, that you've probably felt, again, intuitively called to do for a long time. And I think we're all like stepping into that life. You know, maybe some of us um, are a little bit like have already stepped into that life, or like are kind of, it's like we're needing to get comfortable, we're needing to get used to this new life that we're stepping into, or this new path that we've like been seeing for ourselves. How can you get comfortable there? How can you adapt, and how can you sit in the uncertainty and the uncomfortability maybe of what's going on in the world? Yeah, how can you go inward, and you with the belief and the trust and the inner knowing, the inner stability, the inner security that you have what you need to take care of yourself, to take care of your own basic needs. Yeah, to create a life that feels supportive, that feels in alignment with your dharmic purpose. Yeah, how can you best be of service to the collective at this time? By sharing your spiritual gifts, by, you know, using your throat chakra, the Taurus energy. How can you open up and you can express your what's true for you, your authentic expression? Yep. Okay. I think that is everything I would like to share. Yeah, happy new moon in Taurus. Thank you for being here with me. If you would like to do an astrology reading with me, you can do so. You can book that through my site at cosmicguidance.online. And I am offering a sliding scale. If you need some assistance at this time with all the shit that's going on in the world, just reach out to me and we can figure something out. But yeah, take care. Happy Taurus new moon. I hope everyone has a beautiful new moon. All right. Lots of love to you people.